Hello and welcome back to All Things Real Time, where this week we're joined once again by a Swede. We can't ever get away from them. Every guest has to be Swedish. But this week it's our friend, the naked rat, Boss. Hello, Boss. How are you?
Hello guys, thank you for having me. I'm so excited and I've heard rumors of a banana question.
No, you were not supposed to spoiler it! No, boss! Anyway, as always, I'm here, I'm Lorimbo, I'm joined in by my co-host and small guy, official manlet small guy, HaRT, and I'm here
Thank you.
with our big friend Boss. So here it is State of the Gate episode 2, I
Yeah.
think.
It's a
I'm
title
not
I never
actually...
thought would get so much mileage when I stole it shamelessly from State of the Game. I was like, cool, we'll just use that once so we're not stealing. And then here we are, episode
like,
2.
we were like, wait, maybe this could actually go on. So we have kind of decided to speed the podcast a bit, but you're gonna probably see it in the upload. We still have to decide. Anyway, this week discussion is once again about Stormgate, because there's nothing else going on. We're probably gonna do a post Katowice episode at one point, maybe a comment or two, but people didn't like the Katowice episode, so we're like, okay, whatever, fuck this. Anyway, we are joined here by our friend Boss. Boss is a top player in this weird game that is Stormgate. And we're gonna talk about the patch notes a bit. We'll see what we're talking about.
Yeah, I think, patch notes. We can talk about the EGC qualifiers that just wrapped up. That'd be really good to hear about. Since Lorimbo, I don't know if we're, I'm not trying to rub it in, but you didn't qualify.
Ah!
But
Sorry.
Boss did qualify, and that's why we had to get Boss on.
Okay, we're not gonna talk about the EGG qualifier because that's gonna trigger me. If I remind myself how I lost to random gold drops one more time, I'm gonna go mad. It's a shame. The guy was really nice. It was a fun. So if you're looking at this, Bask, if you're watching this, hello. Fuck you.
It sounds very fair.
Fair and balanced, bro.
Fair
I
and
love my
balanced.
fans. I love
Okay.
my fans, except when they kick me out of tournaments.
Except when they gaunt job you. That's pretty fair, to be honest, you know? It's like footballers probably love their fans until they start throwing stuff at them on the pitch, you know? That's
Yeah,
fair.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, the banana question.
No. We have to keep it for later. Come on. We don't want to spoil it. Because this is going to drive up the engagement. Find out. Maybe we're not
Oh,
even
the
going to
banana
mark
question's
it
at the
out.
end.
No, it's at a random point, because otherwise people will skip at the end, right? So we're not even going to mark it. If you want to hear the banana question, then you have to like watch the whole video to be sure not to miss it.
Okay,
So
okay,
much
okay.
anticipation.
It's the clickbait. That's the.
It's like,
So should we just go straight into talking about the patch then? Because the patch dropped now a couple days ago or yesterday. I forget. I got my phone buzzed. It was like 3 in the morning, and I was like, "Wow, what's happened? What is it?" And it's a ping saying that there's a new patch, and then I couldn't sleep even another second. I was so excited about the new patch.
Come on, if you have to bullshit, at least make it believable.
I'll tell you why it's
Anyway.
believable. Here's why it's believable. Because they fixed the bug where medtechs would cause me to have 5 FPS in the end of the game, and so many games I lost because I couldn't actually play the game because of the 5 FPS. And then in the bottom of these patch notes it said, fix the bug with the medtech destroying my FPS, and I was so happy. And now I can play the game. So actually I was pretty pleased with the patch.
Okay, so we're gonna start with balance changes, like general ones, and then we're gonna go for Vanguard and Infernal. Of course, we're gonna just say what we think about it. Boss, you're not talking enough. I'm firing you. I'm kidding. Feel free to interrupt. Just talk over me, because otherwise I will never shut the fuck up.
No
So
worries.
yeah, exactly. Anyway, let's start with balance changes. General level 2 speed camp have been updated to spawn fewer goats. Now, can anyone guess why this change was necessary and welcomed by the community? Do we get... Okay, go, Boss, you go for this one.
Well, I don't really have to guess, but I want to say that I think both Vanguard players and Infernal players wanted this change because due to the infest mechanic, the early game just snowballs so hard, and now we can probably see some more mid-game and late-game play.
Yeah, absolutely. This was super toxic. I think it was toxic in both matchups, but Infernal versus Vanguard was a bit less toxic. But Infernal versus Infernal was such a fucking meme. The whole meta revolved. Watch out, my guys, by the way, on this very channel, on Infernal versus Infernal on that map. The whole meta in every map revolved around getting the speed camp. Now, certain maps, like Secluded Groove, for example, it wasn't that bad because there were enough speed camps in like different positions far away enough that it wasn't like super snowball, and you really didn't contest each other camps. But in maps like fuck, what is the current one called?
Broken Crown.
Yeah, Broken Crown, or even better, Jagged Maw, the best map. We have had some issue with people contesting camps in the early game and feeling really snowbally. So this should help rein in a bit of the early game power for Infernal versus Vanguard, and just the snowball effect in Infernal versus Infernal. So it's overall a very good change.
It's
There's
worth
also
pointing out that it sounds. They've changed in the previous patch that camps now spawn at different levels. So it's worth pointing out that a level 2 speed camp is the default speed camp that you get at the start of the game. They're always level 2, right?
So, oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
it's from the start of the game that this
confusing.
matters.
Yeah. It says level 2, but it starts from level 2 compared to other camps that starts from level 1. So it's if it's from the very start.
Yeah. Should we go on to the Vanguard changes then? The first change up there is the dog change. So the cost of the upgrade changed from 25-25 to 50-50. And the meaningful point here is the 50 Therium. The Luminite you kind of have enough of already, and it's the gas that is actually more meaningful there. But the research time also increased from 30 to 60. So I thought this would kill the dog openers, but it actually hasn't from my laddering today. There does seem still to be dog openers out there.
Wow, it's almost like they were like completely fucking busted before, and now it's just slightly busted.
No, it's just good. Yeah, okay.
It's just good. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, anyway, I agree with you on this one. They're really oppressive in Vanguard versus Vanguard, so completely fine that it's kind of weakened. I think the research time increase is really big, but I think a lot of people are sleeping on the time that it takes you to mine that extra gas, and that affects the early game a lot, because you're either pulling more workers into the gas earlier, or you're delaying longer to mine the gas. At the moment, from what I've seen, people are pulling into the gas earlier, so they still have the 50 in time.
That delays your second CC, and then like that has a snowball effect with how the economy works. So this was, in my opinion, a very deserved nerf. Dogs were one of the most toxic things in the game, regardless of balance. I mean, it was just very annoying to play against. In Infernal versus Vanguard, they were super annoying. In Vanguard versus Vanguard, they dominated the meta so much it was impossible to play anything else. I, for one, welcome our new overlord, the Hornet, back into the frame. No, I'm kidding. But what do you think about this, boss?
As an Infernal player, I can't like remember the last time I've actually seen someone play dogs after the patch.
No, I keep playing against them actually.
You do?
A bunch of people still play it. RF still plays them sometimes. I've also seen Mixu play them sometimes, but not anymore recently. I think he's switched off of them. The idea is, the thing is, if you scout single conclave opening, you can still go for the dog and try to, like, snipe the gaunts. Because it's very, especially if you don't show them and you don't get camps, you can get, like, 3-4 dogs, so not go too much over it. And it can be really annoying to deal with as Infernal, because you're trying to cut corners, and this falls again in the problem with in the lack of scouting problem department. So I think there's still an argument to be made for them. Obviously, they're still pretty good in Vanguard versus Vanguard, but they're not as oppressive or common as before. And I really like this because we are seeing some experimentation. So, for example, we've seen like CC first or Racks into Expand. I've seen Steve Sturgeon UK play it a bunch. It's quite fun. I like the meta. I really like this because it makes the meta feel more diverse. More opening are available. And I think that's really good.
Next change is the medtech supply increasing by 1, so from 2 to now 3 supply. I mean, it's a slight, tiny nerf. I don't think it changes anything a huge amount. I think the death ball is still problematic. I think when you get to like mostly mech and then medtechs, they're still really strong and really good. The like actual cost hasn't increased, and the gas cost hasn't increased. The supply you tend not to worry about too much. You just start power building with bobs, and you're make more habitats, and you're fine. So I'm not
Yeah.
sure I love this change.
The thing is, on one hand, I can see where they're going with this. So usually, supply nerfs are most impactful in the max out scenario, right?
Yeah,
Now, I think currently Stormgate has a bit of a problem there because we don't get to 300 supply almost ever.
yeah,
It's really rare to max out one. In games like StarCraft, it's way more common. So I think this was aimed at like reducing the potential top end of the death ball, like the maximum. Like when you're max out, you can have a disgusting amount of medtechs, and that was problematic. But I have not noticed this nerf at all in my games. It doesn't
no.
make a difference in most games, especially because you can now correct me if I'm wrong. I might say something outrageous here, but I think that upgrading the habitat to a solar habitat, it also gives 5 extra supply. If I don't,
Yeah, that's right. So if
yeah,
you're
and you
like,
can do it. It
if
also
you're
takes only
really
5
stuck,
seconds.
yeah, if you're really stuck for supply, I'll just do a solar supply while I make 2 more. So I never actually really get supply blocked because I just have a better supply depot some of the time. Like it's
Yeah,
obviously
like
not the most efficient use of money, but the increase in your production is also completely fine, and it doesn't feel too bad
it,
at all.
it's similar to StarCraft mechanic with the drop down depots from
Yeah,
Terran. Like it's never efficient to use it, but when you need it because you made a mistake which is unavailable, it really saves your ass. So I think it's I don't think this is gonna impact any games.
yeah,
I,
So
oh,
it's a pretty insignificant change, but it's
yeah.
also very reasonable.
yeah,
Yeah. Like
yeah. That's
I can
exactly right.
definitely. Like it's not like when you see this and you're like, wow, why did they do this? I don't understand. Like you clearly know where they're going with this. It's just not that impactful, unfortunately. It doesn't actually address the problem with the medtech, in my opinion, or the death ball. At least it nerfs like the theoretical power limit of it, but I don't think we ever get there anyway. So
Yeah, absolutely. Next change is on the cars. So Hedgehog mobilized, so car mode, ammo recharge decreased from 1.2 to 1.2 to 1 second. Wow. And then the deployed ammo recharge, so when it's in kind of anti-air turret mode, decreased from 0.6 to 0.1. Giga wow. Like, I don't know, I don't think I feel that much. The only thing is the micro looks insane now because you're just constantly stutter stepping. Um,
yeah, like,
it
this
looks
is a bit.
ridiculous, and it can't be good for people with RSI. That's all I'm saying.
At the usual cope, Terran requires 200,000 APM to play properly. No, I think this is slightly more significant than it looks, but not that significant overall anyway. We have seen Hedgehog come back in the meta. I've seen Mixo use them to great effect,
Yep.
especially one couple with the next change, which we're gonna talk about in a bit. But overall, Hedgehogs always have the same problem in this patch. They get outranged by gaunts. They don't really like walk into anything too much, but I will be on the lookout because if they turn out to be strong, they're always one of the most annoying units in the game to deal with, especially when coupled with a couple of the extra changes that we are gonna see.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is pretty dangerous in my opinion. It should be like so far. It looks okay, but I wouldn't be surprised to see cars become the meta again in a couple of days after this is filmed. So
But
don't quote
that's
me on this.
I think that's why they're taking it quite slow with these like really gradual like
Yeah.
0.2 and 0.1 second changes. Boss, have you seen like much hedgehog play in your games yet, or is it still? I don't know. I think
Yeah, I have.
the kind of 3 openers I've seen have been dog openers, lance openers, and car openers, and hornet openers, obviously.
CC first also.
Yeah, I have practiced some against some very top Vanguard players, and they have been experimenting with hedgehogs. However, the hedgehog openings seem weaker than going hornets, for example. And I think going hornets is a very strong opening right now. But the deployed hedgehog, I've actually seen used very effectively, and I think it's much better than the early pressure openings. Just using some deployed hedgehogs in your army.
Yeah, it's actually pretty good. It deals with the dragon pretty well. It also deals, more importantly, with god drops in the mid game. So one of the things that I think is slept upon about this is that now opening hedgehogs, not only is like a pressure opening of debatable efficacy or like efficiency, but it also kind of keeps you safe from a couple of really annoying things, specifically gaunt drops. So I think there's a bit more of an argument that Bosse is giving it credit for, but I still think they're inferior to CC first or one Rax Lancer into CC. Oh, don't show that. Don't show that yet, HaRT. Okay.
Next one is the Vulcan, and this again is a pretty minor change, but good. I like
No,
it. Range from 7 to
no,
8, I think is
No,
really
no,
good.
no.
The Vulcan is
no,
kind
you
of
are.
big and clunky. I mean, I
Okay,
didn't.
you
I
are.
meant minor in that it's not like 3 more range; it's 1 more range. We've seen. I think
This,
the turret changed range massively. The
this has
turret
been.
gained 2 more anti-air range. The Vulcan gained 1 more ground range. But I
Yeah,
think
but
it
it's
changes the unit in a really big way, and it's a change I like a lot.
I'm really worried about this change. I think this is one of the misses of the patch. Not because on paper the Vulcan was too strong, but the Vulcan was plenty strong already. And one of the kind of weakness that, like, the problem right now is that the Vulcan, outside of not hitting air, which is not a problem because spring guns are unplayable anyway, so it's only really the Dragon that actually is a good air unit. Vulcans don't really have a weakness. People say that they are weak against magmadons, but the problem is that they are weak while the magmadon is standing, and then they just shit on the magmadon because the DPS is not even comparable, and also they are really tanky, especially with the medtech. I think some other nerfs were already moving the patch towards Vulcan, and now they seem really strong. Vulcan drops are really strong. I've seen also just going in hedgehogs into Vulcan mixes does it a lot. The range increase is particularly annoying on this map because now you can hit very easily lines of workers in the natural from the bottom part. Just in general, you have, like, since the way Vulcan shoots, it goes through units. What you are missing, Art, is that this is also an increase in DPS because you're gonna hit more units overall.
Yeah, you hit another layer of units.
Yeah, you have like one more thing, and that, in my opinion, makes the Vulcan very strong. I will keep an eye out. I don't think the Vulcan is meta defining, to be clear. But once again, one of those situations, I'm worried because this unit feels like it has no weakness, or no clear one at least. I'm not like,
The
my
imps
opponent is
not deal
playing
with it pretty
Vulcan.
well? When you get
Sorry?
flame on imps and AoE it with the flame on imps, does that not work?
No, absolutely. The Vulcan has 1,000 health,
How much does an imp do?
like 80,
I think it
Okay,
does 100.
I think it's
100.
100.
Okay.
But you're saying 10 imps for a Vulcan? Yeah, it's not really worth it.
Even 10 imps for 2 Vulcans is not great.
I just think the splitting on Vulcans is pretty bad. It's pretty hard.
Yeah.
They're not quick. They're not easy to maneuver. The
Yeah,
dash is
absolutely.
fine.
But they're really, really efficient, and also keep in mind that if your imps are not completely coordinated, and with I hate the change on the flame imp so much, they feel almost impossible to use right now. Because even if you keep it pressed, it takes like a good half a second or even a full
Yeah.
second to actually make them work properly. It's so annoying. I don't know why they change. I hope they revert that.
Do you know what's weird as well? Is that Hornets don't work that way. Hornets, if you press the button when you have all of your Hornets selected, they will all return to base.
I think that's fine. Also magmadons work the same way. If you press
Yeah,
charge, they also do all the same at the same time.
yeah, but for the Vulcans is more similar to the brutes. Not Vulcans, sorry. But the Hornets are more similar to the brutes, where like you'd want your low HP ones to go, and if you press it, it will send all of them instead of your lowest HP one, which is how the brute works.
I mean, they did this to prevent people like situations like the Magnat famous clip where Magnat just plays like 20 brews for no reason accidentally.
Yeah,
But the problem is like I feel like it should be like a toggle or something because I actually wanted it to be that way, and I almost never split my brews accidentally. But trust me, the amount
but
of time that I lose trying to flame imp or brute split now is significant.
but the brute will always do the lowest health one. So in a
Yeah,
way,
but if
they've made it like that bit is slightly easier, and the Hornet is not symmetrical in that way. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah, no, but the thing is that you just want to split like 20 broods later on, and it takes like a full second and a half to do.
Yeah, there should probably be two hotkeys, where one is split one and
Yeah,
one is split all.
absolutely.
And the same for the imps, so it's one
Absolutely.
is flame on one and one is flame on all. I will say, while we're on the topic, and then I have another comment about the Vulcan. The dog howl ability, like the AoE scout ability, is on the same hotkey as the car siege ability. So when you're playing, when you have your dog from the early game and then 3 cars, and then I'm like, I swear I made 3 cars. Where's my other car? I've got like 2 cars sieged in the middle of the map doing nothing because it's on the same button, and I've not. I like it's so annoying. They should be on different buttons, please. Monk, please. Monk, please. I never ask you for anything. It's always this guy. One thing. Put them on different buttons. Thank you. What I will say about the Vulcan is it's really strong now in Vanguard versus Vanguard. And like we were talking about earlier with the car openings becoming more common, mech play in Vanguard versus Vanguard is really strong. And I think the only thing that you can do against it is mech play, because bio just gets absolutely shredded. Because obviously most of your DPS from bio has to come from exos, and they just get absolutely melted by Vulcans. I guess you just have to make your own Vulcans. But yeah.
The last thing I'd like to add to that is on Broken Crown especially, the Vulcans are incredibly oppressive on the natural. So I'm not sure if this is a bad Vulcan change or it's a bad map design thing.
I think it's the latter of the two, because you didn't play maybe that much in certain other patches, but at one point it was possible to cannon rush the bottom of that, completely denying the natural forever. A certain Russian player that is my fated enemy kicked me out of a tournament with that. Thanks Donilia for that, by the way. Always only the most balanced and cool strategy from Donilia. Only the most annoying stuff. Yeah,
Next change is the EVAC change, which is just a rework to the Sky Mine a little bit. It now works a lot more like the mines on the Vulture bikes in Brood War, as opposed to previously it was on a really long cooldown, but it was free and had a like timer on it. I haven't really seen these be used. I think the original one was kind of weak. I think this change is decent.
No! Bro, what are you talking about? I've never seen this use. Cut to Mixu playing Hornet Evac. Like, oh wow, I'm playing Evac. The Evac has no counter. The fucking Evac has no counter, because with this, the Shadowflyer change, like, you get Shadowflyer and you can do shit with them. It's one of the most annoying things at the top level.
You can micro them. Yeah.
No, it's no, the mine. It's not like a. What?
Listen, you don't get to complain because you still have the Doombringer, and we haven't even talked about the Doombringer change yet. So, cry more about the EVAC, but the Doombringer is in the game.
Brother, oh my fucking god, the fucking man. What's it called? It's like seeking. It's seeks. Like once you get in range, it automatically seeks and starts hitting your thing. You don't have to go on it. So you have to go like 20 times. No, it's not about splitting. First off, the range is pretty significant. Like even if you split, like also there is a slow on it. It completely bodies Shadowflyer. There is no other counter at the moment to Hornets. If the Hornets are in a sea of mine, which people do a lot in the mid to late game, because you're getting the EVAC anyway for the Atlas drop, it's hell. The cost is insignificant. I think the biggest problem is both the cooldown and the persistence. The persistence is not that bad, but with the reduction to cooldown, I think it's too much. Bro, it's so annoying to play against this.
I have to agree with Lorimbo here that it is actually a hidden Hornet buff.
Very strong, yeah.
So right now, Infernals can pretty much only kill Hornets with either Shadowflyers or Gaunts, and your Gaunts are not going to get close to any Vulcans. So the only option here to kill the Hornets are Shadowflyers. But it's not really possible anymore in the late game, I believe.
Like once again, this is not a balance issue. Is okay. How do I deal with Hornet issues? Like it's we have this unit. I have one counter to it, and my counter doesn't work.
Just lose.
Why? Why?
Just lose. It's fine.
Oh my god. Anyway,
next
moving on.
change is the Hornet, which got a slight nerf, 10 flat damage to 8 flat damage.
You wanna know the truth? You wanna know the truth? I think the Hornet is stronger than before. Not because this is not a nerf, but because all the fucking hidden buffs to the Hornet between the EVAC and the shadowflyer change, more importantly, made the Hornets so much more oppressive. It's actually ridiculous.
This continues to be a really hard thing for them to balance. I think I'm pretty sure I talked about this in the podcast we did now 2 weeks ago, I guess, where we talked about the original balance changes and what they'd done to the Hornet at that point. When I said that it's just a matter of like air versus ground, and in the game at the moment, the ground units is most of the units, so having any air unit just makes it really hard to balance around. The same with the Doombringer, where just like having it be a flying unit makes it way more annoying and way more difficult to deal with, and therefore way harder to balance.
No.
So
I think
they're gonna have to
many
keep
problems.
adjusting the damage and that sort of thing. At the moment, the damage feels fine to play. It's probably still really annoying to play against. So I think the Hornet openers stay viable, basically.
The problem that I have right now, at the moment, is that in general, flying units are incredibly oppressive in this game.
Yeah.
Except the Spriggans, of course, because those got nerfed to the ground. But outside of the Spriggans, it's okay. So at one point, I distinctly remember Monk talking about how in this game they wanted to move flank units to more of a support role. Or like a specific niche counter role. And the previous Hornet did that job excellently. Spriggans were a thing and the Hornet countered them really, really hard. Now it was really toxic because it allows camping with mines. You know, the same camping that is now became a problem because we are reintroduced low cooldown permanent mines. Like that was one of the best changes when they removed mines because it was really annoying to play against. Will completely shut down any kind of airplay. But at the time, at least you could make the argument, okay, it does shut down any kind of airplay. But then again, there is not, you don't really need shadowflyers that much. It's just for the evac and stuff, right? So it wasn't that bad. But right now, when the Hornet being so prevalent, the Hornet is just a good unit. It scales very well with mass. It scales really well with veterancy. It's really hard to play against it because due to the fact that it doesn't stack, that AO unit don't stack, even things like shadowflyers and just general AoE is much, much harder to play against. Like they don't have the same efficacy, the same risk. And more importantly, they also have the shield, which is super powerful from the early game. There are like a bunch of interactions that make the Hornet incredibly oppressive. This is once again not a balance problem. It's perfectly possible to win with pure Gaunt against Hornets. But it's once again, when you play against Hornet, you never enjoy it. And as far as I understand, the Hornet player doesn't enjoy it either because they're kind of weird to play. I think Prob was talking.
They're weird to play, but also like you're still kind of worried that all the time the Infernal player's just gonna kind of A move you, and when you're not ready, because in a straight up fight, the Hornet isn't that good still.
No, it is pretty good. It is pretty good. It bodies gaunts pretty easily.
I mean, yeah, but if you come to my base with like 20 gaunts and I've got 3 Hornets, it's not
yeah,
great.
but the time.
But also, you'll have brutes
good,
and fiends, and then I can't.
Yeah, like
I have to
for example,
shoot
one
the
of the
gaunts,
things
and then
that
I'm
really
losing workers.
yeah, this is one of the things that already like is very annoying about the Hornets is, for example, I think they have no target fire priority. They don't prioritize attacking units that can shoot back. You have to micro. I'm not sure if this is a good thing or a bad thing. I kind of don't like it because I like when micro comes from an expression of skill of fighting against your enemy and not fighting against the dumb mechanics that the game has introduced. So I was complaining just an hour ago about certain aggro ranges in Age of Empires 4, where it feels like a lot of the micro is preventing your unit from killing themselves instead of actually, macroing something. Because the unit either will run at some random building or will run to their death automatically very often. And I think this is a very similar problem. So I prefer that the Hornets were weaker in other ways, but they felt like consistent to play. They would auto-target and stuff compared to the modern variation.
That's fair.
Also, I think this Hornet change is a good change, and I think the Hornet is fine if Infernals had an additional unit that could shoot up, and
Yes.
probably doing not a gaunt air attack, but rather something stronger. like a mid game or late game unit.
Magmadons technically can hit air, but we won't
No,
talk
not
about that.
anymore.
Okay, good. The next change is to the bunkers, the turrets, when you put a exo in it. And in this case, it's the anti-air attack range increased by 2. And then the air splash has been fixed, basically. This is literally just because people are making so many hornets in the mirror matchup. This doesn't really affect, like, dragon, maybe a bit, shadowflyer, maybe a bit. But, like,
But more,
generally
maybe
this
some
is for
gaunt
hornets.
drop, maybe
Yeah.
a bit of gaunt drops, but mostly hornets. Oh, also, by the way, hornets are also incredibly impressive in the Vanguard versus Vanguard matchup.
Yeah.
Like oh
Go on
shit.
about it.
No, okay, sure. So, it's not me. It's my okay. Someone is complaining about the noise. Probably HaRT's roommate. Anyway, yeah, absolutely. Okay, we got. Wait, what? Is that all for Vanguard? Was it a thing?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's it
yeah,
for
it was
Vanguard. I
a
can
thing.
switch the thing
Okay,
over
so
now.
I think it's time for the banana question now.
Right, hit me.
Okay, in
Do it.
between the two things. Okay, so I have an hypothetical situation, and I want you to to explain to me. No, sorry, to judge whether or not a certain behavior would be considered normal or not. Okay, so let's suppose we are in Germany. Okay, maybe a specific city in the west. In the west of Germany, let's say Krefeld, for example, and you and your friend, your dumb friend, go to a supermarket. Okay, your friend heads to the fruit sections and starts eyeing bananas. Now he wants to eat bananas for breakfast, but there is a problem. All of the bananas are in caskets already. Do you think it's normal behavior, acceptable behavior, to take the caskets of banana and singularly split out a
We say
banana?
bunches of bananas. They're not
Bunches
like
of
in
banana.
they're not in wrapping or anything. They're not in
Yeah,
like
there's
plastic.
bunches of banana. Do you think it's acceptable behavior to take singular bananas out of the bunches and then pay for the singular bananas?
That is perfectly normal behavior.
I think you bought. Why? You guys are insane. If you do this in Italy, you're gonna get shot.
No.
Like, actually, what the fuck is
No.
wrong with you?
W
And
boss.
this is coming from a Swedish guy, and we have like incredibly strict customs and standing in lines and stuff, and it's perfectly normal to split a banana.
No, it's not. It's not. It's not. It's not. So,
Because
by
you
the way,
don't want to buy 1,000,000 bananas. I want like 2. I don't need 5, so I'm not gonna pay for 5. I'm gonna pay for 2. That's fine.
yeah, and then some other guy comes in and is like, "Oh, I'd really like to have 5 bananas, but now there are only fucking 3 banana bunch or whatever because some fucking asshole randomly split
No,
single
Because
bananas."
then he can split 2 off of a different bunch, and then the next person that comes in will say, "Oh, I only want 3," and then they have 3.
And so
What I
annoyed
will
at
say
this.
is, while we were in the same supermarket, there was a girl who had like a package of strawberries and was like switching them around in the package to like put nasty ones back and take better ones, and that's fucking weird. Don't do that. That's weird.
Yeah, she should go to Yale, honestly.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Yeah. The supermarkets in Germany very interesting. This is a real story, by the way.
This did happen.
Okay, wait. I have a follow-up question. Okay.
Oh no.
At the same line, do you think it's acceptable behavior in a train station to hop on a random train and say, I'm sure this is the right direction anyway"?
That's completely insane.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
can't
yeah.
believe someone actually did that.
Bro, it was so stressful being with HaRT sometimes. Like we just
It-
hop
he's
on
right.
train. No, we got on the wrong train. HaRT
No.
hops on a random train and says, "I'm sure this is the right one." I'm like, "Have you checked?" No. What the fuck would you hop on a train? And then it was the wrong one, but likely it was the right direction. So
It
we
was
had
going
to...
the right way. We were closer. It worked. We were going the right way.
No, we had to step out of the train, the next station, and take the correct one. That likely was
be honest. Loads of people got off the train and ran to the next train. So we were not the only people. So to me, that was an absolute win because we were doing exactly what all the local people were doing. To me, I read the situation perfectly. I looked around, I scanned, I was like, this is the train. We got on.
Wait.
Loads
a
of people
question.
switched trains. It wasn't just us, it was loads of people. Yes.
So
boss.
if you saw a bunch of sheep running towards a cliff, would you join them?
They must know something I don't. Yeah, I'll do it.
Yeah,
Whatever.
HaRT is gonna jump off the cliff because there's a lot of people doing it. No,
I will
it's
say that was just me getting bored of standing in a shit station in Germany. I just wanted to do something. So just get on this train. You'll be fine.
and then after I chewed on him, he says, "I don't know why you're being so anxious, Lorenzo." I'm like, what do you mean you fucking hopped on a random train without
Yeah.
checking which train it was?
But it was fine. I think it's because we didn't really have internet. I think if we'd had internet, it would have been a bit more comfortable. It was fine. But
Fucking
no, but to
insane.
be honest, it was fine. It was fine.
Due to pure luck and nothing else.
I mean, okay.
Anyway, moving on. I'm glad that boss can at least agree on the fucking train question.
But I get a
Okay.
dub for the banana question. Okay. You can read out the changes for Infernal.
No, because if I do, I'm gonna start screaming, so boss can read them out.
Boss, please go.
Okay. Hellspawn Resurgence Animus cost increased from 25 to 40.
What do you think about this one, boss? You can start.
I think it feels quite bad to use the Hellspawn Resurgence now, since you almost always want to save for the dragon. So it is rare that I use it before I've gotten my first dragon out, especially in Infernals versus Infernals, since it's so impactful to get the first dragon.
Can I ask,
Yeah.
did you use it a lot when it was less Animus? Did you find that you were actually, were using it a lot more?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think this was a sneaky change. So it's sneaky for a couple of things. I want to point out a couple of things that are interesting. So first off, let's remind ourselves that this started at 15. So we are already and then 2.5 times. Let's also remind ourselves that Mixo said that this was absolutely not gonna become a problem when it was at 15. So another mix the prophet moment. No, so what I wanted to say is that this changes a couple of interactions in what I consider to be a healthy manner. So first off, the spell is still useful. It can really save you in a pinch if you fuck up your macro, but it has a significant cost, and that significant cost is the delay on the dragon. 100%. It's way more significant than people realize, especially against Vanguard, but also in Infernal versus Infernal. The dragon timing is really important. In Infernal versus Infernal, if your opponent has a dragon, even with half their army, it's very, very annoying to play against. So it's definitely impactful, and the build can still be used. For example, if you're all leaning with a 2 conclave or something like that, then it's absolutely still viable to do. Like if you don't intend to get to the dragon, the ability is still pretty decent. And as I mentioned before, it can save you in a pinch. One interaction that I've seen no one talked about, because people don't play the game, they're not as smart and beautiful as me, handsome as me, is the fact that now clearing the map of camps does not give you enough animus to resurgence, to hellspawn resurgence your shrine. This is specifically impactful in Infernal versus Infernal, where I still don't think that going CCA first is viable. We're talking with Boss about it specifically, but it definitely is way more viable before, because you do get at least ahead in workers, and your opponent can just press the button from all the animus he has gathered around the map, and then just catch up in workers magically, which felt incredibly frustrating. So yeah, definitely a good change in my opinion.
But to be really clear, the question for both of you: good change or bad change?
Good.
Yeah, I think it's in the right direction.
Yeah. Like the thing that I like is that it makes using the spell a bit more of a choice.
Yeah.
Before there was no choice. The spell was
It was
completely
just the best
busted.
one. Yeah.
It was just by far the best one. By nerfing it, I definitely now see like more options. I've seen people experiment a bit more with maybe the effigy, which is in my opinion one of the weaker ones, or like maybe wait for the dragon is a bit more viable compared to just spamming infinite units. Like there are a bunch of situations, and in my opinion, by the way, if you guys have ever watched the Gyps video, which the guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Of course, I wouldn't expect someone who thinks that Brood War is the best RTS to know anything. But one of the things that he points out about like the way Infernal is fundamentally broken, while I don't agree with it, this is exactly the reason why. My counterpoint would have been, and I'm glad that they proved me right, because one of his big points was that the spell just basically allowed you to get instantly Ultralisk without having to have production cost. Like, no matter the unit, if you make a Brute or if you make a Magmadons, they are the same time to make a charge. And one of my counterpoint was, yes, but that can be easily balanced by changing either the charge timings themselves or simply the hellspawn thing. And nowadays we see people going for more multiple structure building, which I think was one of the biggest problem with Infernals. Before, the macro was very easy. You never needed to get extra gaunt, extra conclaves or extra iron bolt, because you will just like spam the ability to get more from one. Now this has been fixed. I think it's one of the best changes I've seen. Unironically, I think this is seriously a step in the right direction for Infernal macro, at least design wise.
Okay, 2 thumbs up for Monk on that one.
Yes.
Okay, moving on to the imp. Inflamed imp damage decreased from 100 plus 100 versus structure to 100 plus 50 versus structures. So I think this change is probably a good change. However, I have not utilized this imp in the way that certain other players like Parting, I believe, have been flame imp dropping to kill command posts. And that apparently was a big problem.
Yes.
However, I have not seen it in person.
Yeah, it was a bit rare on the Europe server. I haven't seen that done really much, but I had that in-length discussion with this with Mixu about this, and Mixu was explaining that you could just like blow up like 10 depots, and since they apparently the damage was so high, you only need like 4 or 5, and then you couldn't even stop that. Because if the flame imps get killed, they still explode, just like banelings. So then you could blow up depots, you could blow up CCs, and there was absolutely no counterplay to that. And I think that's definitely a problem. It wasn't abused too heavily, so I'm glad to see that they like got for once they got ahead of the meta and predicted that this was definitely gonna become a problem at one point or another. Yeah, good change, absolutely.
I say that when they're talking a lot about the kind of philosophy of the game, they're trying to get away from like insta kills and really like AoE where you spend 1 second not looking at your army and the whole thing gets wiped. That we've kind of seen with mines and disruptors and that sort of thing. So this change, I guess, is kind of in aid of that, where you're saying it's not really fun and interactive to look away and then have your racks get nuked or your command posts get nuked because you didn't see a drop and then someone flame imped and immediately killed it with no counterplay.
Yes and no. The problem that I have with that is that there is a reason why strong AoE exists in every single RTS. There is not a single like very competitive good RTS that doesn't have strong AoE. The reasoning for this is that it's very, very, very hard to balance death balls without AoE. Age of Empires,
talking specifically, I guess I kind of, my bad because I brought up disruptors. A better kind of analogy would be banelings against planetary fortresses, where we know that they've taken active steps in StarCraft to rebalance that by making it easier now to react and responsively like defend, and therefore increase the number of banelings you need to actually nuke a planetary. Like, I think there's a place for it, but I think the lack of counterplay is what people find really irritating. I think this is in the right direction if that's kind of what they're going for.
yeah, I guess so. But as I said, they have to be careful with that because flame imps this doesn't affect flame imps against death balls at all because this is a change only to structure.
Yeah.
But as a general idea, you have to be a bit careful. For example, the nerf to play flame imp I really didn't like, not because they didn't need to be nerfed, but because I thought that making them incredibly hard to use and super annoying was definitely not the right step. I was really disappointed with that change. Flame imps feels really clunky. Once again it creates another situation in which the game is balanced around terrible mechanical input, like the opposite of quality
like
of
Brood
life,
War.
basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Brood War, where you're like, oh well, this thing is not OP because it's so fucking annoying to control.
Yeah.
You're like, but there should be other ways of balancing the game. So Monk, I implore you, nerf the damage, nerf the speed. All of those things are fine, but for example, the cast time, the fact that you cannot cast multiple, you need to like press the button 20 times or keep it pressed and still wait for like 0.5 seconds. That's also problematic because it's dependent on repeat rate on keyboards, so it creates another layers of problem if you have an analogic or a mechanical keyboard, the switches, etc. Please just find another way of balancing them. This feels terrible. It's not fun to play. So still not fun to play against, because if you get the flank or the drop, for example, it's still annoying.
Okay, please keep going, boss, because we're only on point 2 and we've spent a long
Cool.
time. Okay, go.
So for the brutes, the Sunder Soul ability now grants spawned fiends max white health 15. I think this is a good change as it improves the amount of skill expression possible in the game. Basically, they want people to start splitting the brutes again.
Yeah, do you want to keep reading the next change as well? That's change to the fiend. Kind of contextualizes
sure.
this one pretty well.
All fiends start with 0 white health by default, down from 7.5. This includes both fiends born from infest and ones that drop from brutes on death. Movement speed increased from 6 to 7.
Okay.
Yeah. We talked about
What
this
do
a
you
little
think
bit
about this?
in maybe it was even last podcast, I think, where we said exactly that it needs to kind of rebalance a bit around skill expression and give some maybe improve the kind of reward you get from doing these little skillful things, but also punishing the people a little bit for those that don't. And I think this is a good change in aid of that for sure.
I am gonna have a controversial opinion on this. When I read the patch notes, I thought it was gonna be good. Actually, having tested it in the game, I did not like it that much. So my reasoning is the following. Now, chasing chasing the same idea as before, right? Like as we were talking with the previous podcast. So the previous podcast, I pointed out that the problem that I had with the change to the brutes with the auto spawn was the fact that you would remove the choice. And Monk was trying to balance this in an elegant way by changing this from like 0 or 100% efficiency to like a more gradual efficiency, so maybe 80 to 100 or 50 to 100, whatever, like depending on the specific numbers. And this, I didn't mind the idea in theory, but in practice, when I actually played the brutes, first of all, this is a pretty significant nerf to brutes. Another one, which I don't think it's warranted because the cost one is already very significant. But whatever, that's balanced. That's completely fine. I don't care too much about it. But the idea now is that in Infernal versus Infernal, you have even more pressure to split the blues and just focus the gaunt. So this change, like against, so like the thing is the following, okay? Against, you don't have a choice still. So against Vanguard, you always want to split at the last second. There is no other, like there is no other option there. There is no choice there.
So that's to deny veteran CXP, right?
And now to get
And to get a little
Fiends
bit more
max health.
shields.
Yeah, but like it's even it pressures even stronger into that. Like that's the thing. Before with that high damage, like the idea was that the high damage of the Fiend would sometimes come in use. But right now, you'd rather, for example, even in a mineral line, you'd rather have a brute than 2 Fiends to do more damage. Like even if you're like, okay, I need to blow up this mineral line real quick because I have some infest, there is a skirmish going on. Brute is better. You want to split it at the last second. So once again, it's pushing it in the right direction. And it's even worse in Infernal versus Infernal. There is no choice anymore. There is objectively one good solution, which is to split immediately. Because Fiends are the only things that counters gaunts. And you cannot, like,
just
the
to be
Brute is
really obvious, the scenario you're talking about is one where it's Infernal versus Infernal. You might have one gaunt, 2 gaunts against 1 brute, 2 brutes, and you're kind of skirmishing really early game. And in that case, you want to split your brutes and just right-click the fiends onto the gaunts straight away.
Yeah. Always. Yeah. Boss can confirm, I think, that's almost always the optimal play.
Yeah, that's true.
It's very rare that you go around with brutes. Because the thing is, if you go brutes, it's just on a, like, okay, in a move versus A move scenario, of course the brute wins. keeping the brute is always better. You get just so much more stats. But the problem is a Gaunt brute versus Gaunt brute at the moment is so heavily impactful by the infect and the Gaunt that it's like you just want to kill the Gaunt and nothing else. So the brute is really slow and can be cutted forever. The Fiend can't. So you split and you go for the Gaunt always. That's of course there are situations, for example, against towers, like in which the brute is better because you need like some kind of tanking or stat check or something. But as I said, it's not necessarily the change itself. But there is a general problem with the brute in the current patch. Is very it has no choices. There is always an optimal play, and I feel like that like it's a bit of the brute, it's a bit of the fiend. Like these changes go together.
Do you think? Do you feel like it's getting towards how Hydras in StarCraft are basically lurker eggs? It's like rare that in Inferno vs Inferno you actually want the brute. You mostly want the fiend.
Yes, but the thing is that you could still argue that like in the two different matchups you do different things. Like against Vanguard, you never want to split brutes because fiends don't do damage. Simply enough, fiends have shit damage, and especially against veterans, your stuff like lancers. There is like the brute is just so much better because the armor is so oppressive in that regard. While against in the way more volatile matchup, where you don't have armored units, but you have very fragile units, then the extra DPS and the extra speed, more importantly, makes it a superior option. So you could argue that is.
It's the
What?
paranormal episode. This is the Halloween episode where things go bump in the background.
One second, this is so strong. Can
I
you
want
hear it?
to also say no, we can't hear anything.
Okay.
It's just you looking like a bit schizo. Don't worry about it. The other change is the movement speed increased. Boss, any thoughts on a 1 movement speed increase for the fiend?
I like it because you can actually chase dogs now.
Yes.
The dog scouting like forever in your base and you're not being able to chase it down was very annoying. Also, the dog was able to get the healing flowers very easily, getting away from fiends. Now there's actually like some sort of micro battle over the flowers.
Absolutely. I think no matter which one, like you can change like back to 6, but the most important thing is right now in the game, you have to have the fiends, the dog, and the car at similar speeds, or even the same ideally, because otherwise it's like any of these goes out and the other two becomes really strong. It can be really annoying.
Okay.
As for
Boss,
the next
give us
change,
the gaunt change. Yeah, go for it. Go.
yeah, I think it's very interesting. Gaunt weapon bounce range decreased from 5 to 3.5. The area where I think this has the most impact is actually in IVI, with gaunts hitting buildings to bounce to other units. Because prior to this patch, if you were being pushed and you had like an iron vault or a shrine, and you tried to hide behind it to get some more units, you could never attack because the other player would just hit infest on your units before you could do anything by bouncing it on the structure.
Yeah, this was actually, I think this is one of the most elegant nerfs I've ever seen. I thought he was not gonna do it, then I tested it, and it totally, genuinely, even against Vanguard, this is way more significant than people realize. Like your DPS against Vanguard goes down significantly because now, especially with lances and stuff, splitting them a bit actually has a significant effect. And very often I will notice that in a fight, my guns were only hitting 1 or 2 instead of 3 guns. So that's getting 60%, 66 or 33% of the full DPS down. So I thought he was not gonna do much, but it was a surprisingly elegant nerf. Really, really well done by the Frost Giant team on this one.
Yeah, and I asked you yesterday actually, and you said that now in Gaunt versus Gaunt, really early game in Infernals, versus Infernals, it's now like a better idea to try and split your Gaunts and try and reduce the bounces when it's just a few units against a few units. Whereas before, I would watch you try and split Gaunts a little bit, and it wouldn't do anything. The bounce would still go because 5 range is quite a long way
Yeah,
to
at the
walk.
top level, you definitely feel the change. Like you can split gaunts now, like two gaunts versus two gaunts. Splitting versus not splitting is very big. It's like huge difference now. Just like focus firing, like I really like this change. I think it was fun. Yeah.
This might be my least favorite change. Go boss.
The Doombringer can now load units while in mobilized mode, and they changed, I believe, the size of the Doombringer as well. They decreased it. I feel like this is a good design change, but it breaks the balance a bit because the Doombringers are very clunky to move and drop and pick up, and now you can actually like have more fluid drops where you
Okay.
can pick up more easily.
Before I start screaming, let's talk about the positive. One of my least favorite things about the Doombringer was that it was very clunky. I think the unit was problematic for other reasons, but I hated playing it myself because I thought it was a clunky ass unit, really annoying to play. It bugs out constantly. There's a bunch of weird things when it has to go up and down. Like you can't do the fluid micro anymore, like compared to the first iteration that we saw in the first alpha. Now, that being said, was there really no better time to do this? Could you not just have waited for the next big patch? Was this so impactful, especially after Steamfest? So you already got like the publicity you wanted. It's not like, oh, you're doing this because you want new players that are coming into the game to... No! Why did you buff the Doombringer? Why? Okay, the Doombringer is at the moment the most overpowered unit in the entire game. No seconds. It's either this or the EXO. Or actually maybe the medtech is no the EXO actually. No the EXO, because even pure EXO is better. Yeah. It's so busted. It's the amount of utility that this shit has. It's ridiculous. It has insane health, very fast movement speed, can carry 8 gaunts, one shots a mineral line with gaunt drops. You can use it to drop like. The concept is so cool because you can do so many cool things like drop magmadons from a flank. Like that's so cool, but the actual unit feels both terrible to use. I'm glad that they're fixing that at least, but it's so powerful. So I've read.
Because before, at least they had to choose, and they were like, I'm going to leave the gaunts behind and save the Doombringer, or I can try and save the gaunts, but then my Doombringer might get sniped, and I can't like run around so much. Whereas now they just drop the gaunts out, immediately lift it, and then they can kind of like kite with the gaunts, and they end up losing neither. It feels really hard to punish the like Doombringer gaunt drops.
One of my favorite pieces of counterplay from the previous patch was the fact that you could use the tower, like they would drop, you use the tower, right-click the Doombringer, and if they were not paying attention or they were being dumb, which was very often the case with not so good players, you will get the Doombringer, which was a lot of value. Now that is completely removed. You can just drop at the edge and just remove it and then just go in later. It's so strong. Like, I know why they did this. It's not a bad change.
Yep.
Like, in the future, this is going to be seen as a great change. But I really think they should have made it maybe with some nerfs to the Doombringer in a second patch. Now, I've heard conflicting stories about this unit. In the sense that I've heard people who swear that Monk said that they are going to change this so that it's further in the tech tree. But I heard the opposite thing too, which is Monk really likes it at the current tech path. I don't agree with that, of course, so I don't know which one is Monk's real opinion, honestly, because at this point everyone is attributing to Monk just their own opinions. But in the current way, the Doombringer is an incredibly toxic unit, especially in Infernal versus Infernal.
I said before that I think it should be on the Spire, and I think that would still be better than where it is now. But I don't know.
The thing is, it was on the Spire and no one used it. Because the
Good.
Spire is very expensive. Yeah, I mean, good, true.
Boss, any final thoughts on the Gaunt drops, or Magmadon drops, or Imp drops, or the Doombringer in general?
Not really. I haven't been using the Doombringer as much as other players have, actually. Much to my detriment, as I'm starting to use it much more now. but I don't really have any more nuanced thoughts.
So the next change is to both the Magmadon and the Weaver. So let's talk about it in both at the same time if you want to read the next one.
Yeah. Consume cooldown increased from 0.25 to 5 seconds. I like this change a lot, especially in IVI because it's annoying to have to spam consume on every unit all the time. But I also think it's a good nerf versus Vanguard due to Weavers being incredibly tanky and like spamming consume makes them a non-ending wall of a front line.
Yeah, but also that was just generally annoying. The consume would often, like, since it's automatic cast, it would often like walk your Magmadon when you didn't want to, but it also felt terrible if you didn't use it because it was so much value. I like this variation way more. There is still a lot of value to be found in using the consumes properly, but it doesn't feel like you have to spam and then you just pray that your fiends are in a better spot than the opponent and the consume goes off quickly instead of like, yeah, it's a good change.
Do you
On both
think
of them,
there's
yeah.
Do you think there's a big kind of contextual difference depending on which unit it's on, or do you think that this is fine on both the Mag and the
I
Weaver?
think it was the same thing for both. Both units are clunky. Weavers are super slow, and then they also had so much value with them. It was just problematic all around. I think it was good. It's a good change. It was one of the interaction that felt really bad, even as an infernal player, because if you click the button and God forbid the fucking link is a bit far away, the Weaver starts slowly walking towards the thing. It's so annoying.
Fair enough.
Cool. Moving on to my favorite unit, the Hellborn or the Crab, which I'm enjoying very much. Supply cost increased from 5 to 8. Cost increased from 150, 150 to 250 to 25. Health increased from 200 to 260. Damage increased from 30 plus 40 versus structure to 50 plus 50 versus structure. Cone splash damage increased from 15 plus 20 versus structure to 25 plus 25 versus structure. That was a long
A
sentence.
mouthful, yeah, a mouthful.
So to summarize the changes, basically everything increased by 66%, right? So the supply increases, the cost increases, but the damage and the health both increase as well. Kind of in similar like powers.
Yeah, gas cost is 50%, says the
Yeah.
producer. And she's right. No, I don't know how I feel about this change. So, on one hand, it makes the Hellborn actually worth it, which I like. But on the other hand, the Hellborn is one of the most fucking obnoxious unit to have your comp work around. Like, I cannot express to you how bad they are.
Well, because they're fat and they waddle like a crab, right?
They block your whole army.
Yeah.
Your whole army gets stuck. Like if you ever have to change direction, well, you don't now actually. And also, they just feels terrible. Like it's their attack resets constantly. If you aim move more than once, like if you accidentally aim move twice because, for example, you want to get a better concave or something, well, good luck. All of your crabs are now doing jack shit and resetting their attack animation. If an enemy unit dies, good luck. Your attack animation gets reset. It's so long, 4 seconds, so it's so easy for this to happen. It feels like inconsistent as fuck. But the actual change, these are just the problem with the Hellborn itself. The actual changes are good, I think. It also makes it more punishing when you lose them, which I like.
The changes kind of address what you were saying a little bit, in that if before you had, I don't know, I'm not going to do the maths because it's awkward maths.
5.
But if you had
5 or
5
6.
hellborns, you would now have 3. So
3.
the actual area that they take up is less.
Yeah, but that also, for example, means that canceling an attack is a bigger deal.
Yeah, that's true.
Like it's or that if you lose one of them, it's a bigger deal. If they get stuck somewhere, it's a bigger deal. Like yeah, it addresses it somewhat, like in a very roundabout way. But unfortunately, I do not think it's the fundamental problem changed too much. Like if you've ever seen Magmadons and Hellborns in the same comp, it's just painful. At least the Weaver goes over other units, so there's that.
As the
The
resident
supply,
crab enjoyer, I think we need to
yeah,
hear what Boss has to say on the
absolutely.
hellborn changes.
Yeah. Personally, I love these changes because you were previously depending on the Hellborn versus Vanguard anyways. and now you have way less of them. So you don't have as much of these issues where units are running into each other. And versus Infernals, they're actually useful now.
Yeah.
They're incredibly effective against gaunts and fiends that spawn in the fights. And they actually feel like a siege unit now. You can use them to like attack a base. Earlier they were just tickling the other player. So I like them very much.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a pretty good change, I think, for the thing, but I still think the unit is pretty annoying to play.
Should we keep going onto the shadowflyer change?
Yeah.
Sure. The shadowflyer now deals 125 damage to its primary target and 50 damage in an area of 3, down from 125 in the entire area.
So essentially,
This
it used to
changed.
deal 100% in the area like a baneling, and now it has like a tank where it does full damage in the center and then slightly less in the area around.
Yeah, this change is incredibly impactful, especially versus hornets. I'm not sure if it's a good or a bad change, because they were too powerful with the AoE damage, but since the Infernals don't really have anti-air in the current patch, it feels really bad. But I think it's a good change if they add some more anti-air capability.
Yeah, absolutely. This is like on paper, it's a good change in the sense that it reduces the volatility of the matchup. Where like it feels like if you hit the shadow flyer thing, everything disappears. But it, once again, this is an insane buff to hornets, and in general, I feel like the design unit of the design of flying units has not been good on this game. I thought they were going to be supposed to be more of support, but right now, even like everything feels clunky. Like Infernal is just a clunky race. If there is one thing you can get from this video, is that playing Infernal is in a way obnoxious because how clunky certain things feel. The Shadow Flyer is so buggy. Half of the time it's not gonna properly lock on a target. Half of the time it's gonna lock on a target and then like not explode or get somehow outrun. It's I don't know what to say about this. I don't like this because it feels like it's now much harder to deny EVAC drops, which are so annoying to deal with. Like, I'm fine with it on paper if it was compensated by some kind of anti-air that actually allowed you to deal with EVACs or with things. And I also don't like the mechanic that this brings in with the dragon, where like late game Infernal versus Infernal feels so decisive about who gets the dragon hit. Like the shadow flyer micro, it's just like you have to keep track of the ground button, and then you have to micro these fucking shadow flyers around. It wouldn't be that bad if at least the units felt good or like it was intuitive the way they work, but I don't know, man. I think like anti-air and air units should be reworked quite a bit in this game, so I don't mind the change, but I don't think it addresses anything here. I think it just makes it more oppressive. So
Okay,
yeah.
Weaver change is the last one.
Okay, for the Weaver, Lash cooldown increased from 12 seconds to 16 seconds. Lash damage changed from 60 to 20% of a unit's max health. And of course the consume cooldown increased once again. So I really don't understand why they nerfed the Weaver's damage, because I didn't think that it was ever a problem with the Weaver. It was probably more the tankiness. But I don't think I will be building many Weavers in the future. Perhaps a few to have against mech, but I'm not building many of them.
I mean, at least they do better against Vulcans now. Because 20% of 1,000 is 200, which is a significant amount more.
Yeah, I think this kind of makes them fit in a slightly different
Yeah,
role where they're pulling Vulcans instead of pulling Exos, but I guess this now means that you haven't really got a good unit against Exos again. I don't know.
yeah. No, you've got the Hellborn. I think it was actually fun. Like with the Hellborn changes,
It's true.
I think it was actually not bad because this works pretty well against Vulcans. They're just generally really tanky units, and you kind of like it. It's I think it feels better uh with their like core identity. I would say.
Yeah.
like of grabbing powerfully. Like it felt terrible. Then like also like the higher cooldown, for example. Like it felt terrible when the whole point of doing this was to just grab like medtechs and exos, not because you actually wanted to grab them, but just because they were like that was the only way of actually reaching them. So I think this change feels good design wise. I don't know, like outside of the balance, in which I don't know why you will nerf weavers. I don't think they're that powerful. And if you do need to nerf them, I think the problematic aspect is the tankiness, definitely not the damage. I do like it as an identity change. I think it's way more in line with what the weaver is supposed to be. So
Boss, do you
that's
think
it.
the cooldown change is really impactful or not really? I mean, you said you weren't really going to make them anyway, so I guess leaning no.
I've seen Theory use the consume cooldown thing incredibly like powerfully. As for the lash cooldown, the issue I have with them being stronger against mech is that if you pull a mech unit, it's going to die anyways. Like it's going to die to a bunch of fiends and your other army. So I don't think the damage change is a buff versus mech necessarily.
Yeah, that's what you think when but you haven't seen the Vulcan 1 being 200 your entire army when it gets pulled. That's especially with a shield on. Bro, that's scary, bro. You pull a Vulcan, he puts a shield on it. Now you have a 2000 HP monster in your army that has AoE damage and gets one like excellent. It's scary. It's scary. But yeah, no, it's. But like, as an idea, I like it. You know.
Yeah, for sure. But if they do this shield thing, you can just use like 6 weavers and you can pull the Vulcan all the way back to your base, so it won't have any impact.
True. The secret strategy is to have a line of weavers and you just grab a unit, just keep grabbing it until it goes.
Yeah, the fireman technique.
Teleport it across the map. Now you don't have to deal with it.
Okay. Lorimbo will have to read this one.
Yeah, it's your turn now to read about bug fixes.
Bug fixes. High APM players should no longer experience total client freezes.
That never
late in
affected
games.
you, right?
Yeah, I never had this problem as my APM confidently hovers between 15 and 70. As always, no, jokes aside. I think there's a big problem actually with the. Okay, no, wait. Let's put it this way. I think this is the medtech change, isn't it?
No, the next one is the medtech change.
Unit
active ability should no longer have a negative effect on frames per second.
No, I think both of these are. So this one, high APM players and unit active ability should no longer have a negative effect on frame per second. Apparently, there were 2 big memory leaks with auto-attacking too much and the medtech ability. Those were very significant.
It's any active ability where the unit stays alive afterwards. So this didn't tend to affect Infernal players. But obviously with the Vanguard, you have the medtech and all of their stuff is like on a unit that you hope stays alive. And the top bar ability with the shield also apparently didn't help. So basically, I had this bug. It was horrible because Vanguard late game was apparently giga busted and I couldn't play late games because if I made 6 medtechs, I got literally 4 FPS and I had to press like every key like 3 times to get it to do anything. And then so I'd have to press my production key and then wait for that to go through and then press my Lancer key so I could actually make more units and then wait for those to actually go through. So I couldn't split, I couldn't stutter step, I couldn't do anything and couldn't multi-prong, anything like that. So thank God for this
and you still won the
change.
games.
And I still had a pretty good win rate, yeah.
There is no problem with dead balling in this game. No, jokes aside, I'm really glad that this got fixed. It's ridiculous that the game becomes unplayable for a race because the fucking game's giga lags.
I mean, you could just not make medics, right? That's the obvious thing. They're just really balancing the medics. They're trying to nerf the death ball. I think this is a good change. I think they should revert this.
What I'm really curious about is how come this only affected the Vanguard? Because if you think about it, it should affect both players. Because you're still seeing the anime. Like I don't know which part made you actually lag. I wonder.
Yeah.
It's like I feel like
you would still see medic healing animations and medic.
Yeah. Like I would have
expected
this to actually make it lag for both players, but apparently it was only the guy with the medics. Bob overcharge can no longer be cast on command post under construction. This was
Yeah.
super abusable.
Guess how I found about this?
Someone cannon rushed you, of
This
course.
happened to me today. No, I just built the base and then tried to overcharge it, and I had to walk my bobs back to my main command post to overcharge them and walk them back to the base. Yeah, this was
Skill
really
issue that-
abusable. No.
Yeah, this was no, but it was like this was very problematic because you also called the proxy a command center, cast overcharge, cancel it, refund it completely, and then build turrets or just even fight with the overcharge bobs. And this was so problematic that it got banned from ECG. So props. Launch sensor
It was
drone can no
also
longer.
just
Yeah.
good because what happens now is you pull your bobs from the main, you overcharge them, you build the command post. By the time the command post is finished, you're mostly out of charge to build barracks. Whereas before, you would send the bobs, overcharge them when they got to the base, and then you would have more overcharge charge to build a barracks and build a turret. So you were more safe going CC first before than you are now.
Yeah.
It's minor, but it actually is pretty massive because obviously the walk
Prob
between
was
your main and
talking
the
about.
natural is
Prob
big.
was talking today about how you want to pull one more to compensate for that right now. Launch sensor drone can no longer be launched from command post under construction. We actually saw this bug in the Donilla game on Secluded Groove. Where one of the his proxy CC that I didn't see while he was building it launches a sensor drone. Luckily for Donilla, I did not notice that, or I would have fucking destroyed that proxy CC. But we did see it. It was pretty funny that even in the replay we were like, wait, did that sensor drone just send from the building stuff? What? Okay. Shroudstone manifestation can no longer be cast near shrines or shroudstones under construction, and Shroudstone manifestation can no longer be cast near enemy shrines or shroudstone. So, boss, what do we think about this?
It's a mixed bag for me. I kind of like being able to use it like defensively on shrines or shroudstones under construction, but I guess it's such a big problem offensively that they have to make this change.
I think it would have been fun if they just made the shrines under construction. That's mostly what you wanted.
Yeah, for sure. That's
Like
what I wanted.
I feel like it's a bit of a mixed bag. I feel like they could have made an more elegant solution. In my opinion, the most elegant solution would be to limit this ability to arrange near shrines, similar to how overcharged batteries in
Yeah,
StarCraft
near
2.
friendly shrines. Yeah, I
Near
think that
friendly
makes a lot of
shrines.
sense because
this
you
way,
could get like
this way
one of
it
your bases gaunt dropped, and then you're like, okay, I guess I just have to lose that shrine. Whereas you're saying
Yeah.
like, you could reactively defend it a bit better.
No, because the problem was the problem is right now is that they drop if they go and drop your gas, for example, and you put like the thing doesn't cover enough. Like you can, like if you don't have a turret in your gas already, you cannot actually cover it with just the shine. Unfortunately, shine range. So either like increase the range on a shine, or like go back to like where you can build a turret, and then I think like this was unelegant, but offensively this was incredibly strong and abusable. In fact, you could even do this. I don't know if they said it. Well, you cannot do it anymore because it used to be, I guess, near enemy shrines or shroudstone. That you could do this blindly without vision. This was supremely abusable. Like imagine at any point of the game you can just cast a super powerful turret in your enemy base, your enemy like mineral line, and just wipe it out without your opponent ever without needing any vision, your opponent having any warning. Like it was completely busted, super dumb. If you've ever abused this to win, and I know that people have done this against me, fuck you. Like cringe as fuck. There was one guy super abusing it. One Smarferino was now quitting games. So if you're watching this video, fuck you, dude. You're you're smarfing, leaving games on purpose to get lower MMR, and then you're abusing bugs. That's despicable behavior. I hope you get banned. Anyway, watch the games against Theory. The one with the watch the game. The one against Theory, it's called How Many Dragons on this channel. It's really cool. And you're in that game, you're gonna see a couple of instances where this bug was really, at that time, we didn't consider it bug abusing yet. We thought that's how it was supposed to be working. And
Yeah,
we
because the tooltip says cast near a shrine or shroudstone. So they must have known that this was in the game because the tooltip says that that's how it works.
I think they kind of missed both the tooltip and stuff. I'm glad this is gone.
Fair. Yeah. I don't know about this next bug. Did you see this?
Yes, this was huge. Fix an issue where Nightfall infestation could follow a targeted unit. This was incredibly noticeable, at least in my experience. It was impossible to actually dodge Nightfall infestation. We'll go out and still get infested. We'll be like, what the fuck? So at least at the start, I thought that the actual bug was that Nightfall infestation was just much bigger than it showed. But the real bug is that no matter what you do, if you center it, it's like gonna follow a unit. So if you move the unit, it's gonna the
Move with
circle
it, yeah.
follows it.
So when
I don't know
you're saying that when
why.
you're trying to move out of the circle, or you're trying to split, it's going to just follow that unit out of the circle. So
Yeah,
you actually haven't dodged anything. You know?
yeah. I mean, it was really buggy and weird because you couldn't you could only infest things that were already in the circle in the first place. So if you had a unit in the circle and you would move out in other units, you wouldn't infest everything. Even though it follows, you will just infest that one unit. But it was still like super weird,
Yeah.
and it felt like it wasn't overpowered or anything because the spell
No,
is
it was just
very
bugged.
weak.
Yeah.
It's just really weird way, like it felt super annoying. Have you experienced this, boss?
It happened basically every time I used the ability, and I thought
Yeah.
it was a visual bug for the longest time, but it's kind of troubling that it was actually like a real issue.
Yeah, luckily we don't have to abuse the abusable things. Like this didn't get abused, so it wasn't a problem. Health camp now provides the intended rate of 8 health per second. This has been a massive bug fix. Health camps went from being completely useless to really, really good with certain units. It's just fine. I think it's a good change. Like it's a bug fix, but it's like the health camp were really underwhelming before.
Yeah. It's weird because I knew it was bugged because medic turrets are meant to be the same, but the medic turret was like always noticeably faster than a healing camp. So I was always like sure that it wasn't working properly. But yeah, it's good that this is fixed. Good that that's
Yeah, this
actually
also is
turned
a
up.
pretty strong buff for hedgehogs, by the way.
Yeah, for sure.
You don't need to proxy it anymore. You can just use the health camp to just perma heal. Fixed an issue with where lancers and medtech could unintentionally fit through certain world of areas. I'm not sure if they're referring to the trees in like the current map, Broken Crown. The trees for the speed camp, or exactly which one they're referring. Like I'm not sure about this bug fix because I think they still can, so it wasn't that clearly. Not
Yeah, I have
sure.
no idea about this one.
Do you know anything, boss? Well, boss is dead.
I'm sorry. Could you repeat?
Did you ever notice lancers and medtechs unintentionally fit through certain walled off areas? Whatever
Yeah,
that means.
apparently lancers could fit through spaces where dogs could not.
Oh,
So I think this was like a more of an issue in Vanguard versus Vanguard, where you
Lancer's
were
been
trying
on
to
a
wall
diet.
off. Yeah, for sure.
the Magmadon's trample ability can no longer affect their unit. Another Hornet buff, unironically. The best counter to Hornets has always been the Magmadon. It was forbidden to abuse it, like intentionally, but it will just happen anyway. It was impossible to dodge, especially if the guy parked like was F2ing, so all of his Hornets would be on top of his army. This, in my opinion, was leapt upon. Like people did not realize how much of an impact this had, but I don't know. The Magmadon trample ability can no longer affect structure. I didn't think this was a bug. I thought this was intentional. This is actually a pretty significant nerf. Specifically, it makes much harder to break to shrouds with a lot of shrouds or a lot of turrets in general. I don't think the Magma was overpowered or anything like that, so I don't think this is like it should be compensated somewhere. I actually think it should hit structures. Even it makes sense because it's a fucking earthquake. So I don't know, or it's trashing, whatever.
Yeah, same. And one thing to note is that the Magmadon trampling in mid-air with Doombringer isn't fixed either.
That's so dumb.
So you can start a trample with your Magmadon. You can lift it up, and it will still hit the ground while in the Doombringer. So you can use it to harass worker lines for a short while.
Yeah, really dumb.
That would still not be in competitions because I assume that's in like against all the rule books still. So
Yeah, of course.
We shouldn't see it in competition, but we might see it on ladder, I guess.
The medtech system's shock ability now correctly dispels infest. I've never noticed that it didn't. Because nothing dies anyway, so...
Yeah, you'd have to kill a unit for the infestor to
Yeah,
buff.
and just so you know, this dispel also gives insane movement speed.
Yeah,
So anything that gets
so it makes
dispelled
it
like would
even
be
harder to kill. Yeah,
fucking 3 kilometers away in Alpha Seco, so you will never like. I literally never noticed this. I'm glad it's fixed, of course, but the Vulcan jump jet's ability will no longer be blocked by an enemy corpse. This has been an insane buff. Like people slept. Like the Vulcans were actually pretty powerful even before they got buffed. But one of the most annoying things was they will just get stuck on enemy corpses. I don't know. It was just
yeah, it was just
so
stupid,
cringe.
and it made them like genuinely so much worse because you would just dash forward and their dash would just get stopped, so they wouldn't actually stun anything. So yeah, good change, good fix. That's it for the most recent patch. How are we feeling, kind of in general?
We have not talked about the biggest and worst change of this patch.
Oh, have I missed something?
Yes, you have missed something.
What have I missed?
They removed Jagdmo.
Yes.
I hate this new map. Well, it's the old one. All the problems that were present in the first patch of this big patch, period testing, whatever, are still present. It's bad. It has so many problems. I don't know why everyone thinks that this is better. Jagdmo was actually good, especially Infernal versus Infernal. I like the fact that you will not get to the Doom drop and you will actually play for a push or like the speed camp. It was very bullshitty and made for some very memeable moments like the turrets thing. I will die on this hill. Jagdmo was a very good map. I think if you think otherwise, you're just wrong. I like the catapults, I like the pushes, I like the fact that it was actually something to play for instead of, especially in Infernal versus Infernal, instead of the fucking hyper dumb gone drop meta.
But Lorimbo, the only reason you like that map is because you don't like to expand. And now you don't
True.
have to expand on Jackman.
True. I love my pushes. No, it's more than that. Is that I actually think that expanding is still suboptimal in this map, actually. But instead of like before, you will not expand because you wanted to get the camp, so you will do extra units and stuff. And now you don't want to expand because you want the gaunt drop to be quicker than the enemy. Still a counter, so I don't think that actually changed. I really like that map. Actually, I really like expanding on that map too, because there was like I feel like compared to this map where you have like really no other choice, that map had a couple of interesting choices, taking the third on the golds or the double gas or even the double gold if you were feeling very spicy as Vanguard. I don't know. I just like it way more than this one.
Boss, thoughts on the new map or new old map?
I prefer it to Jagma, but it's still pretty
I'm
map.
with you on this one. I think Jagged Moor is just kind of gimmicky, and it's just like you play around the one thing that is unique.
Yeah,
about
because
the
this
map.
one is not gimmicky at all, right? It's like
What's the gimmick on this map?
Doombringers, of course.
Oh, okay, but I'm playing Hornets, so I guess I'm
Yeah, I mean,
also doing the gimmick.
Doombringer, hornets, or like just also hitting the natural from behind, like if you're a Vanguard. It's just dumb. Just
Okay. The next thing we were going to talk about, don't get triggered, Lorimbo. We have to talk about the EGC qualifier.
okay.
Well done, boss. Congrats on qualifying. How did you find the qualifiers? How did you find the experience of the 2 day? Trying to think of a nice way to put this. 2 day shitfest, I think might be fair.
Yeah, well, I love the like 8 hour downtime spread across the 2 days, just sitting in front of my computer, not enjoying my weekend. But when we actually got to playing, it was pretty smooth after a while. Especially for the second day, we had an MVP from Finland called LUOLIS who came in and made the brackets with proper seeding after there were some more issues on the second day.
I think Lilypad typed out like all of the things that went wrong, so maybe we should
Yeah, we
could
have a
read
list.
that a little
Can
bit.
you find that?
Yeah, do you want to read the list, Lorenzo?
Yeah. I'm gonna read the list so I can start screaming.
But
So first off,
I want to
let
say firstly, I
I was,
fucking called it. I messaged you the night before. I said, I'm not playing the tournament. I'm not checking in because there are 2 admins for 500 people. This isn't going to be good. I'm not doing it. Also, it helped that my computer actually at that point couldn't run the game because this was before the patch where they fixed the medic bug. But I did call it. Okay, continue.
are you done? Are you
Yeah,
done?
yeah.
Okay. So I want to preface. I do not have anything against the admins of EGC. I find them quite funny. One of them was pretty nice because of the railgun situation, being like railgun acting as railgun as always, etc. Okay, I do not have anything against any particular person, but this tournament has been by far the worst competitive experience I've ever had in my life. Like nothing else is even close to this. This
Does that
was
include the zero space ladder qualifier?
yes, absolutely. I
Oof.
thought, like for people who know me, I bitched and when I wrote 3 pages out of the 13 pages. I wrote on zero space and the manifesto, which I'm gonna write for Stormgate too. By the way, Monk, if you're not, you are gonna have to read it all. Otherwise, I'm bitching and whining. If you haven't read my full manifesto, by the end of this playing test, I'm gonna bitch and whine you up. I'm gonna show up at the Frost Giant offices with. No, I'm kidding. This is a joke. This is a joke. This is a joke. No, anyway, it has been. Stop cutting me.
Everything's moving around. It's all
It
going
has been
wrong.
the worst experience of my life tournament wise. The zero space one, I dedicated 3 pages just to bitch and whine. This one is gonna be like 5 pages. No, actually, it's gonna be shorter, I think, because like I'm just gonna say everything was bad. Like it was horrible. We have a full list we're gonna go into and read in a second, but the general gist of it, while the admins, I think the admins themselves were not doing like a bad job, but they were first off, okay, I'm getting so triggered. I need to calm down before I start screaming. Okay, I think the two main problems were first off, I really don't like the fact that Frost Giant. I know why they're doing this, but I don't like the fact that Frost Giant wants to have their own little thing on their site, and every tournament has to go through that. That's a terrible idea, in my opinion. It makes everything more clunky, because especially for players such as me or Vortex or Laser or anyone that have to play multiple games competitively. You have Stardust GG, you have Challenge, you have you have this
Macherino.
thing, yeah, Macherino. Like you have 20 different, or the one that Gemini sponsors, whatever the fuck that one is called. You have 20 different things. This one is supposed to be challenge on the back end, but if it's challenge on the back end anyway, why the fuck are we not using challenge? Why are we making our own proprietary system in our own site, which just causes more problems? I know that you guys want to have exclusive rights on anything, but I understand that. As a player, I will never be happy about it. I know why you're doing it. It's bullshit. Please just okay, whatever. They're never gonna listen anyway on this one. And the other big problem was that there were too few admins, and that they didn't have any real power, in the sense that they were not the technicians. They did not have a tech team on standby, which is one of the most important things if you're like, these are 512 organized players. So these are my general impressions. I think now we're going to listen to Boss general impressions, and then we go on through specifics.
Yeah, like I said earlier, there was a lot of downtime, but it was filled playing Wordle and other such fun games. So that was okay.
You can check out my VODs 7 hour stream, in which most of it, like out of was it, like 5 hours, 6 hours, something like that. I think I played maybe an hour of actual tournaments, something like that.
I am amazed that you stayed live for so long and just managed to keep the content going despite. I think there was like even server downtime for a bit. Do you want me
Yeah,
to
yeah.
read kind of the? This starts at 3 p.m. but there were some problems before that as well. So this was kind of written down as we went. I
Yeah.
think this was written on day 2 before, and then more stuff happened on day 2. So apparently at 5 a.m. the check-in was removed. So then loads of people went to the Discord to say, why aren't I in brackets? And because the check-in is gone, even though I checked in, and yeah, that was all very bad. Then the seeding was wrong, and some players were in brackets more than once. Although apparently some players were not in brackets at all. One really notable was Probe was not in a
Okay.
bracket somehow.
Okay, let me explain. Okay, so the following things happens. They removed the check-in, which caused a shit ton of problems because people were not showing up. And since there were only 2 admins for like 500 players, I think there were at least like 50, 60 no-shows. Out of 500, that's a pretty reasonable rate. A tenth of them are not going to happen. 2 admins for 60 walkovers, that's insanity.
So just to explain, because some people might not really be aware if they've not been like competitive in these kinds of games before.
Yeah.
The idea of a check-in is that you go and you say, "I'm here and I want to play," so that when people claim that you didn't show up for your game and can they please have a free win, you can say, "No, I was here, I checked in." Whereas if you don't have a check-in, people could just go and say, yeah, Lorimbo didn't show up for his game, he never messaged me, he didn't contact me at all, so I think I just deserve a free win so that I can, play the next round. Because the alternative is that you delay the next round, but then I guess you could also accidentally give people walkovers and free wins when their opponent has been there the whole time and doesn't know what's going on, right?
Yeah, but the biggest problem is that you just want to, like, there are a bunch of people that are gonna not play at all, and just checking in removes those people because they're not gonna check in, and then you have better brackets in which there is less downtime, and you avoid wall covers and other like unfair things, quote unquote. So let's go through it.
Yeah, I think producer Lilypad had 2 walkovers in a row.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that was a pretty big delay.
Did you know that Lilypad was 1 game away from qualifying to the top
Huge.
64?
I'm not surprised. Goated.
Goated. So
at 3:15, brackets disappeared, and then the admins came in and said, "Don't actually play." But some people had already contacted the person they were meant to play against, so they were
some people actually play the games already.
Yeah, some people played the games and were like, "Oh, I'm 2-0 in my bracket," and then the admins had to say, "Oh no, none of those wins count. You need to go back and play all over again."
Yeah, no, okay, so the way it was following is the problem. Like, the bracket gets announced, and the following things are wrong. The seeding was actually fine, I think, for the first bracket, or at least no one complaining about it. The biggest problem was the fact that everyone didn't know whether or not they were in the tournament. Or rather, I don't know if they, like, I genuinely don't know what the fuck happened. I don't know if there were more than 512 people that signed in, and somehow they got counted. I genuinely don't know what the hell, like, what happened, but the gist of it is a lot of people that were signed in did not show up in the brackets. Some other people showed up twice somehow. Some other people 3 times, and like, okay, so at least specifically 2 brackets, I think were bracket G and bracket D, had to be remade. Everyone else's bracket was actually fine from the start, but we had to wait because people, like, this was first big miss in admin's decisions. Instead of correctly identifying the problem, they panicked and they were like, okay, all the brackets are now bugged. So instead of just proceeding with the brackets that were fine and not proceeding with the brackets that were clearly bugged or had problems, due to the fact that some players were missing completely, no brackets were allowed to do. So at 3:15, we were told non-play. 3:40, brackets get re-released. Now we have the same problem as before. So the problem that we had before didn't get fixed. People still had double bracketing or not showing up at all. But now we have a new problem. The seeding is also completely random. So Prob gets seeded as number 14 in his group, and a random platinum player gets seed 1. The seeding is really important because you want to avoid getting fucking knocked off at the round of 50-12 by a really good player, while you're also a really good player yourself, while a random dude just gets a good seed and just skyrockets up to fucking qualification by just getting easy opponents up until the end. The whole thing was supposed to be seeded so that more or less people in the top 100 have higher likelihood of not getting each other, because you don't want people that were legitimately had a good chance to qualify. Like, for example, if you were number 20 on the ladder, you get fucking, I don't know, number 6 on the ladder in the first round, and even though you would have easily qualified in any other bracket to just get out. So that's the whole reasoning for seeding, and this was a disaster. So
it's also worth noting that it's a single elim tournament, right? So if you lose one series,
no, this was double elimination. This
oh,
part.
was it? Okay.
Yeah, this part was double elimination.
It was the next part where there was an accidental
Yeah.
losers bracket. Okay.
Yeah. The next one that had the problem. So 350, we are told that 2 of the 8 brackets will be remade. Despite this, at 405, we are told not to play and to have a 20-minute breaks. So this is problematic. I think this was an admin bad call. I'm sorry that most of these problems, by the way, were apparently due to Frost Giant Ant. So on the side thing that I said before. Boss, if you want to add anything, by the way, interrupt me because otherwise I'm gonna go on a run forever.
You can go ahead.
Yeah. This one I think was just a bad admin call. At 410, admin says to not start any more games. People are confused because one of the brackets gets announced, but we are told to not to play. I think there was bad communication between the admins, so I'm not sure. Then at 413, we get reminded to not play any game after one of the bracket has been updated. Admin says at 425 that the bracket seems to be solved. We don't get told whether or not we can play, and some people assume that because the bracket is solved that they can play, so they play their games. And then at 442 we get told again. At this point we are 2 hours into the tournament because it was supposed to start at 3 UTC or 4 CT. They get told that they cannot play. 2 hours into the tournament, I had played 1 best of 1. Which took, by the way, 5 minutes because it was a random guy that was like, I was at the time like around rank 20, rank 40 or rank 30 in the world, and the guy was like rank 500, 5,000. Okay, people at this point, it gets announced that brackets are gonna be completely reset. So even people who had won a best of 1, like me, and I was already in the round of 128 because I started, due to having a higher seed, I started from round of 256. Now I get told, oh no, you actually have to redo the whole thing. At 527, you are told again to not play games. There is really little communication between this and the previous one. So from 442 to 527, which is 50 minutes, 45 precisely, we are not told anything. Everyone is worried. We don't know if the tournament is gonna get cancelled. We are 2 hours and a half in, and apparently the tournament should just be starting now. 550. Finally, the new bracket is out. It's been completely reset, but if your bracket is the same as the previous one, you can remake the games still count. Whatever that means. Likely I get the same bracket, so I still am in round of 128. I don't have to regame. Me and Boss were in the same bracket, by the way. So luckily we didn't get affected too badly as other people's. By the way, at this point, you have to remind yourself that this is 3 UTC. But at this point, in Australia, for Probe, Azure, I think Rise is also from Australia, it was 5 a.m. 5 a.m. Azure had to fucking call in sick to work 2 days from now because this happens the next day too. Let me repeat. Azure had to call in sick from work because of this. It's ridiculous. This was a ridiculous time to choose, and it was a ridiculous delay.
And
Probe, by the way,
who
doesn't have this problem. He can go to sleep because he doesn't even have to play because he's not in any bracket.
didn't even get put in a bracket. He actually didn't sleep. He stayed up and streamed the whole thing because he was like, oh, well, I thought I was staying up all night. I don't know what else to do. But now that's why, if anyone was wondering, Probe is playing in the Katowice qualifier because he somehow just didn't get put in a bracket at all. It genuinely was a bit mad, and it was a huge number of pings and all sorts from the server. Do we need to talk about the LUOLIS bracket? The savior?
Yeah, I want to talk about it. So, let's talk. This was only day 1 of the tournament. Do you have anything to add about day 1, Boss?
No, but I wanted to quickly remark about the Katowice qualifier. Since, for example, Mana got eliminated in the difficult 2-day qualifier that we participated in, but Elaser, for example, gets to play in the IEM qualifier.
Which has
out of-
6 players for
yeah,
4
which
spots.
4 qualify. Yeah, so it's obviously a much easier qualifier, despite there being high-level SE2 players like Clem, for example. I doubt he has had the time to practice a lot for this.
Yeah.
It's really odd, and not to be like rude to Probe or Mana, but they weren't in Katowice. Like,
No,
I
Mana
think,
doesn't get to play. Mana doesn't get to play in that one.
does he not? He's not in
No.
the six.
No, it's
Elaser
not.
does.
Elaser
Laser's
does.
in. Okay. So yeah, okay. So yeah, it's very odd, basically, that there's 6, but Probe is in there, but he wasn't at Katowice. But
I mean, Probe,
yeah, I don't know.
they made up to him because he couldn't actually play the qualifier.
Yeah. No, that's fair enough.
Like,
Yeah,
I'm
so
annoyed because for
the
Probe,
6
it's gonna
are
be
then
3 results.
yeah. So then the 6 are Dark, Clem, Skillus, Kelazir, Elaser, and Probe. Yeah, that's right. So Mana didn't make it into that one, but
Yeah, I'm
that is
pretty
the
sure that
36.
I like all of these guys, so I don't have anything wrong. But like,
Yeah.
it's not anything specific. But the Katowice qualifier was a ridiculous idea, and it's basically gifting free money to people who are participating in Katowice. And like, I
Well,
get it, but
I think it's rough just because it overlapped so heavily with Katowice. Like, they could have delayed it and pushed it back and made it like the EGC qualifier a week later, so that it wasn't overlapping with Katowice. I don't know. I think this is a bit fair, because they want the big names from the biggest RTS sport, and they don't want those people to like lose out on practice for Katowice, or just because they're having to go and play a stage match in Katowice, so they're going to get walked over in the EGC bracket or something. So I think it makes sense.
yeah, it's 50-50. But I don't know. Like, my understanding of this is the same as the one from Zero Space. I understand why they did it, and it feels like they had an objective, they reached it. But competitively speaking, this is a shit thing to do, and I don't like it. That's
Yeah, that's
my
fair.
point. Like, so if you're interested in the PR, which I think Stormgate has plenty, sure. I could make an argument stronger for Zero Space, because Zero Space really needed a PR, and the game is somewhat solid, so I think that's fine. But in this situation, I think it was just a PR stunt and whatever. Okay, sure. This is another one thing where fundamentally I understand that the object of a company is to make money, and they have to resort to things that are not competitively sound to make that objective. So we're always gonna be disagree on that. So I've been told to get to hurry up. So let's hurry up. Day 2, in short. So first off, the bracket that's delayed. So okay, no, actually, day 2 did not have any delay on the actual tournament itself, if I recall correctly. Right, boss? You didn't actually get delayed from 4 p.m. CET, right?
Yeah, I can't remember if it got delayed due to the brackets or not, but once it started, it was fine all the way through.
No, yeah, it didn't. I can tell you it, because the LUOLIS bracket got published in time. I'm pretty sure about this. So let's talk about what happened. So at 11 a.m., the brackets gets published. Oh yeah, but that is okay. Well, we're talking about that. I forgot about that, Lilian. I forgot. So yeah, at 11 a.m. the brackets get published. So me and boss watch the bracket, and we're like, oh, we didn't get each other. We are not in the same part of the bracket, so we don't have to compete. Let's practice together, because there were a lot of good infernal players for boss, and boss considers me a good player, and I consider boss a good player. So it was good practice for both of us, right? And we came up some really interesting stuff. I'm gonna help boss prepare for the tournament too. So we're gonna. Yeah, I hope boss does well in the actual tournament. Spoiler, he qualified. Like me. So
Thank
we
you.
were the brackets gets out, and we start to prepare at 2 p.m. So 2 hours before the actual tournament. If the tournament was 4 p.m. CT or 1 a.m. 1 p.m. So when I say 2 p.m., it's 1 p.m. UTC, like whatever European times I'm gonna use from now on. So at 2 p.m., the someone, Kel and Mana, complained that the seeding was made randomly in the round of 64. Now, my opinion, is not necessarily the worst thing ever, but like there was the only like 32 top against 32 bottom, etc. So like I understand the frustration because a lot of top players were together, but as we can see, this is gonna become a huge problem. So they start to complain, and the admins, this another horrible admin decision, by the way, they choose after a while a consideration to remake the bracket. Now, if we learned anything from the previous day, it should be that remaking brackets is a fucking disaster every single time. But evidently, we haven't learned anything. So they were like, yeah, we'll change the bracket because the seating is not. It's not it was not improper. It was just random, like on purpose. So they're like, okay, we are gonna remake the bracket, no problem. So I'm like, wait, bro, what the fuck? I prepared for certain matches. I prepared my strategies. I prepared for the past 3 hours, and I don't get any time to prepare from the new opponents because you are announcing it last minute. So they change the match. They change the bracket. It takes them like 50 minutes to do it. The new bracket is terrible. The seating is completely off. It's not seated at all. We cannot tell what the seating is actually. I'm number 7 in the world in that bracket. Now, while this is correctly seated for the current ladder, in which I am a top 10 player, yes! Never stop flexing that I'm top 10. No, that's the second one. No, Lily, you're jumping ahead. So I was number 7 in this bracket here, which I liked, but of course it was completely dumb because there were way better players than me at the time, and it was completely wrongly seeded. So people started complaining more, and it gets remade again. And this time the seeding is completely fucked up. LUOLIS gets again. LUOLIS gets seed 7, Azure gets seed 24. Complete clown fiesta ensues. Eventually, I'm gonna cut it short. Up until 4, the bracket gets me like 2 or 3 more times. LUOLIS, one of the players, says, I'm shit you not, says, look, give me the list of the players. I'll make the bracket by hand. I'm gonna make a bracket that's 10 times better. The madman actually fucking does it. He correctly seeds it by ladder. By current ladder, because didn't have access to the information of ladder at the cutoff point, which was supposed to be used for seeding. And after like 3 or 4 changes, the fucking guys at EGC are like, okay, you know what? We'll stop using the fucking site because it's impossible to use properly. It's too shit. We're gonna use challenge. They take LUOLIS bracket. They basically copy it 90%. A bracket made by hand by a player by hand. And fucking transporting the new challenge, and that's the bracket we eventually played. I performed terribly because I was so fucking tilted. I also suck against gun drops, so I get out the first round. Also, to compensate for this, I'm gonna say this. This is gonna be very controversial. To compensate us for the terrible experience, they announced that they're gonna add $1,600 to the prize pool to be distributed in this phase. So round of 36, round of 16, and round of 32 also get money instead of just the top 16 that actually eventually get to the main event. Which I liked, but the problem was that the people who get out at round 64, I told you this before getting out, but unfortunately there is no way of proving that I said the same thing before. I didn't get compensated for my time. So it's an apology money, but only to some people, which felt just dumb. They should have distributed so everyone gets at least a bit of money, in my opinion. Only he had the same problem, but the problem is that no one, like, to bring this up after is really shitty because you're gonna, like, people who already got the money, didn't get the money. I thought it was, like, dumb to do it, like, as apology money, to do it this way. I did not like it. I thought it was, they should have made, like, in a different way. If they wanted to apologize. The whole thing was terrible. Anyway, I have to go now, so we're gonna cut it short. You guys can finish the podcast by yourself. What I am gonna say is, I'm gonna do one last thing before I go. I'm gonna make a prediction. Okay, I think I'm gonna make the insane prediction. You wanna hear the insane prediction, boss?
Go ahead.
Am I that crazy? Do I want my name to be attached to this prediction?
Do it.
I think Lucifron wins the tournament over parting. Bye.
Thank you, boss, for joining us. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Come back next week. Think we're going to talk Katowice or something. Yeah, I don't know. Any final words, boss? Thanks so much for coming in.
Yeah, thank you. I want to give a quick shout out to Lorimbo for actually practicing with me for the EGC qualifier. we came up with 2 builds that led to wins versus both Railgun and Baka. So I honestly don't think I could have won if we did not do those custom games prior.
Nice. Good shout out. Okay, cool. Thank you everyone. Like and subscribe. Bye bye.
Bye guys.